So there's something about when you meet people like yourself. And so when I meet you, it just instantly goes into this dialect or something. It's weird, right? And you'll meet this when you come across, certain ones, and they just, they're on their path, so you know that you'll be able to. Um, it's like you're walking through the markets and you find another great seller, and you're a seller, and you
Right.
both sell or sail together, which was what we were saying before. You're able to fill your sail, carry your own wind, and tell the tale. And then they can do the same.
Yeah.
Because there's no outcome. The outcome of them doesn't make any difference to you, but it enhances you. It's not conditional.
I, you know what? I was just talking to a friend of mine before, and he was expressing like an anniversary date of his mother's passing. And
Wow,
al-
anniversary.
along with his, well, I was discussing family constellations, and I was discussing how we take on the energy, but the experience of those that passed, that we want to live in their shoes to feel what they felt. And we don't detach ourselves from their experience. Instead, we live within their experience so as to avoid ourselves. Or we emulate someone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So when you put on somebody else's shoes, the first thing you go is, "Well, that doesn't feel right," because they've molded a
Right.
pair of shoes that have been manufactured, but they've molded a pair of shoes, and you go, "Oh, whose shoes are these?" You can feel that they're someone else's.
That's
Yet,
right.
like you said, um, again, maybe this is a program or a fear or a blame or a doubt to say you have to be like the ones that walked before you. Whereas if we can, well, it's no different than meeting someone. If you can just stay on your path, because yours is so unique, and just use their tell or their sail or their ship's story as a gift for you. So it's like Christmas, right?
Yeah, well, yeah,
Because you're going, okay, well, you're just a gift. You're just a gift. But with a gift, if you give a, if you receive a gift, you don't necessarily have to like the gift. And this is where this might help everyone through the Christmas period this year, is that if someone gives you a gift, you say thank you. Thank you for being kind and thinking of me and giving me this gift. I really don't like the gift. It doesn't suit me at all, but maybe I can gift this to somebody else that it does suit. And maybe the next person you come across, it's the most perfect gift for them.
that's true. That's true. Yeah,
Wow.
I
I
remember,
wish I knew this a few Christmases ago.
I remember receiving something from my grandmother. My grandmother used to buy underwear and socks, and she came from Europe. So for me, that was completely irrelevant towards my childhood. It was as if I was neglected by her, and then I kind of ignored her and she felt it, and she was the grandmother I was close to. And so for me, it was now as I look back upon it, I give her a lot of credit for having the courage to believe in what she believed in and to give me or gift me something that I couldn't gift to anyone else, but that was a necessity, but relevant to her reality of who she was. And so at the time I didn't realize it. But I guess a resonance of what a person is feeling at that moment to give somebody something from their own personal experience, not just what the person needs or wants, but an attachment to it.
Yeah. So by your grandmother giving you those things, she's telling you a story.
Yeah.
So she's saying, this is my journey. Um, I mean, just even if you went into the socks and underwear, it's sort of like it's very socks and underwear, the undergarments. So they're the underclothes. So it's not seen by the public. So it's very to give someone socks. I can't believe I'm breaking this down. To give someone's socks and underwear. It's very intimate, like a romantic situation. They give lingerie.
Right, right.
So you see what I'm saying? So for your grandma, that was her way of opening up.
Could be.
So can you imagine Christmas Day now? Everyone's going to be opening their presents and going, "Oh, we got underwear." Like they're gonna.
That's a good idea, to give somebody that to see their reaction and see their expression. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to
Yeah,
offer the bare necessities.
the bare necessities. Yeah,
But
this is
it's,
interesting topic.
well, you know what I wanted to touch upon what you just said before we got into that, which was I think the main theme is courage. And I think when we walk in courage and we don't have the complete confidence of knowing what we're doing, because we will go through phases of feeling like an imposter when we do different things, whether it be an ailment, whether it be a new career or a new movement to something that we haven't done in the past. I think courage is the theme of being able to walk, not being a victim, but to carry on and be that example, um, for our own higher self, to show our higher self that we can do this, or we can then eventually show others a higher self, or their higher self will then pick
Yeah,
upon it.
yeah. So I just want to share with your audience how amazing this is when I meet with Adam. And this would be going on for many others as well. So, but I'm just giving Adam and myself an example because it's happening right now. At 4 a.m., I wake up. It's 5 a.m. now where we meet. And I receive an email from a lovely lady I do a session with, and she's in the States, in Colorado. And she said to me, "Oh, I feel like I'm going crazy or something." And then she said, then she just sent me one email with one sentence, I breathe only for me. And so this is how I had the words for you. So by her having the courage, for whatever reason she felt to send me that sentence, I came up with sail, sail, carry your own wind. The tell is your own path. This is the way. The rest is fragmenting away, and we feel alone because we thought that that was love, but
Right.
it was false. And false is a failed sail. Oh, false means failed sail or failed soul. The real thing is soul way or all soul way. And soul way, the origin meaning of this is one's home path, so your own pathway or your own ship's route leads past the seal. I thought must be a riddle. You might be able to help me understand. I'm thinking, is this the ice caps or is this the cells of ourselves? Or so one's home path leads us past the seal.
Oh, so yeah.
So
So
what does that
this,
mean for you?
yeah, for me it means exactly that the theme of courage, of opening ourselves up and passing the point of no return, to the point that becomes the most difficult passageway for us to sail through, to get through, and to
Which is
break this,
freedom.
to freedom, to break the seal of
The
something that's
seal.
closed, and
Yeah.
almost then the opening of it, and then that little narrow opening is the most difficult part, but then it becomes bigger once you pass it again.
Like a paradise sort of. So then it goes like a hourglass
Well,
out,
hourglass.
out.
That's just what I got in my head, an
Yeah.
hourglass.
Hourglass. Yeah.
A new
Which
beginning.
is here. Yeah. Which is here. We find the hourglass is here on the back of our neck. This is why tapping can assist that
To
because
move the
it's a
fluid.
narrow.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but the energy always seems to get stuck. You always see people get tight necks when they're having a lot of stress.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
yeah, so we always say tapping.
It's funny
Yeah.
because early I opened up the Akashic records and I opened up a rune card. I picked a rune symbol, and it was the symbol of the gods. Dagaz. And the Gaz, if I'm
D.
pronouncing it correctly from my interpretation, means a new day, a new beginning, a fresh start, and a new opportunity. And
Um,
that's interesting of going through the birthing process. And
mm.
and that's how I view the hourglass as the birthing process.
Well,
Path,
the birthing process comes back to the sail, right? It's the ship.
yeah, but
So
the
once you
womb, the
birth,
womb,
then you have to fill the sail.
yeah,
Yeah, so like the womb has to become at its fullest for the baby then to come out.
to pass through.
So and then that yeah, which is the hourglass again. And let me tell you, that one needs tapping. And so then the baby comes out, so it gets birthed. So then you fill your sail with the wind of you, the tell of you. But in that you get socks and underwear so that can entertain, make you smile, understand what's going on before you. Or it gives you it doesn't make your path, but it enhances your path. That's why you do need the socks and underwear gifts.
Yeah. Well, getting as it relates to the socks and underwear as the bare necessities, I had also thought about how, when we have a spiritual awareness and so many conversations that people have are about what's in the universe, what's in the sky, what's our connection that lies beyond this earthly existence. And we have a hard time of grounding ourselves when we're on that spiritual path because we feel like we outgrow the not human experience, but we outgrow the attachments to this human experience. And then sometimes the feeling of, am I better than the next person because I feel this way? And I look at them not knowing something that I already have maybe recycled. And so I guess my grandmother or gifts like that brought me down to earth. It brought me back
Yeah.
and not put me in a
Well,
fantasy world of gaming games. My grandmother wanted me to look at life from the simplicities of things, which she did throughout life. She would buy me a book. Nobody bought me a historical book for a birthday. She bought me a book from Reader's Digest on landscapes at 6 years old, and she signed it. Or she bought me a book on the ocean, like the fish of the ocean. So for me, it was like I said,
yeah.
how she has the courage to give me something that other people would like say, no, I couldn't give them that. They'd reject me for that, or they wouldn't love me for this. Because for me, a book,
Ridicule.
yeah, it was ridicule. I learned courage from
Yeah.
her. I learned courage from her. The gifting gave me courage. Simple gifts gave me courage, if that makes sense. What
So
didn't,
yeah, well, it does. Well, she was very brave because her her tell to you was unconditional. So she didn't care about your response.
right,
She just loved you so much that she just gave it to you. And this is
right.
what a lot of people speak of with love is that it is so powerful, it overrides the condition. And this can create complications, of course, on either side,
Yeah,
but the power of will and love or the breath is so strong in us that it does override all the distractions. And you do go through those phases that is this egoic? Then you go through all that. Then you go, then it could lead you down fear and doubt because you're going, am I being egoic? It's not. It's just that you see, you see,
yeah,
and they're not at sea. They're still in the harbor.
right, right, right,
And you're going, come on, come out and see the whales
right.
and the and all the fish baits and the flying fish and the seagulls. Come and see this. Are you going to stay in the harbour? You can't stay. You can't stay in the harbour. Collect your socks and underwear. We'll be okay. Come out.
It's true.
And this is then you become an explorer. So then you're in sea or you're in space with no boundaries. So what presents can come to you in front of you. But when you're in a harbor is it's back to the hourglass again. You become enclosed. You're banked in. This is what a harbor does. They create arms.
Right, right.
We have quite the east coast of Australia is quite harsh. And so everywhere, each town we go to, you can see where they've built arms out to protect the ships coming in.
That's
And
also part of
I
the
mean, any,
hourglass.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, and when we would be out at sea, no matter how rough it was out at sea, we knew that the most dangerous spot was coming back into the harbour. This is where most of the accidents happen, is where you come through that hourglass. This is where we see so many shipwrecks. Literally in front of us, we'll see
Yeah.
a ship go down. It's
Wow.
coming through the bars, coming through that hourglass spot. So it's not only tricky for us emotionally, but physically that spot is tricky as well. It's the delta. It's constant change. That's why it's
Delta.
yeah, delta. It's
Yeah.
constant change. It shifts and have to you have to read it. This is what Richard has just left to go fishing with the girls, and they count the waves in the dark. They listen, they count the waves coming through, so they know how fast the repetition is, so that how long they have to get through to the next safe spot with the boat.
Wow.
They're listening for whales. They're watching for other boats. So they have to read the environment before they head out. And this is what you can do with the socks and underwear because it's a gift. This, person has given you unconditionally a gift. And so you take that information or the gifts and then you use it as you head out through the harbour, which is her birth, by the way. Her harbour, which it's not male or female, it's just her is one. So harbour is one's birth.
Wow. Coming
Yeah.
coming to the land or leaving the land. Different
Yeah.
transitions.
Either way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a transition. Uh, yeah.
Yeah. And
I
you
was
said, you did say when we just came on here, you said you felt a huge shift. You felt
yes.
like it was one way, and then now it feels the other way. So it's like we've just, well, it's probably today for you, but it's the last peak day of the Mercury retrograde, which is Mercury is man's cure. So it's always quite challenging these days. They're peak days, paused moments, um, and it rattles all your gifts.
Yeah, yeah. I met my friend yesterday and we were talking about that. He said, "Do you feel this or do you feel that?" I said, "Well, I felt that way the other day, and I guess it's hitting you
Yeah.
now." But I do understand you. And then
Yeah.
other people who can't communicate in that way, expressing their emotions, will then start talking about other things and allow me to elaborate so as they can express themselves through me, as opposed to them expressing themselves. And I again, the word courage is very pertinent to me at this moment. And because
So you're giving your friends socks and underwear
that's true.
conversations.
Maybe I'll do that
Oh,
too.
see, this is so cute. This is a great way of explaining it in a playful manner. You go, okay, well, I've just given you the socks and underwear gift because you've told me about what you were going through. This is what was happening, galactically for everyone. And then you go, oh, so then you have ease and grace because you realize you're not alone.
Yeah.
See how by you sharing your sale, your tell, and then you sharing that with your friend, and they're not maybe spiritually conscious, but you had the courage to give them the socks and underwear anyway. They went, oh, so you felt that as well. You went, yeah. Not
Yeah.
only did I feel it, 100 other people I talked to around the world felt it. And they go, oh, great. I thought it was just me. I was angry with my wife. I was angry with my kids. I was angry with my neighbor. I was angry with the shopkeeper, but it wasn't any of them. It's just a feeling or an energy, which is a feeling.
Yeah.
So see how that gives you ease and grace? So it becomes a healing. The socks and
Yeah,
underwears.
well, the whole process of being able to offer that is a great healing tool for me, and in return for the other person, because if I can share a vulnerability of my experience with them, then it becomes very healing and a good feeling, a wholesome feeling. Like I explained, like I always have the feeling we're walking each other home. If you look at the
Oh, it's,
if you look at the experience itself and you say, is it really about this? Is it really about that? But I think it's more about, and I feel this wholeheartedly, it's about walking hand in hand, side by side with people and helping them get up if they fall, being brave enough to not sacrifice yourself completely, but to be able to sacrifice yourself for the betterment of someone who's in need. And that's a true feeling that I look back in my childhood, and I saw behavior that was egocentric, selfish from certain people around me, and everything was around, don't go there, don't do that, don't. If somebody fell, my father and I went ice skating when we were younger, and he used to like to do figure skating, and wanted to play ice hockey. I wanted to play hockey. So he bought me figure skates, and I said, "What do I have figure skates for? I don't understand this." So I had the figure skates, and I I skated around the rink, thinking I was a hockey player, but realized I couldn't stop because the blade was too thin, and I had to do. He was doing spins. He hit an older gentleman doing a flip, like a spin, and he said once the man fell, I went over to help him. He said, "Let's go," and we left the ice skating rink, and I kept turning around looking what happened. And we never went skating. We never went skating again. And I carried that fear within me to help. That if you help, you can be sued or something can happen to you if you help somebody.
oh, because it's like an admitting.
Yeah.
Oh, well, see, they're pretty clever, right? What they come out, yeah. The insurance and the suing and the blame, shame, blame, name, shame, blame. I'm gonna name them this, call them a name, like it's
Yeah.
um so it's this is where we have to become responsible for how we act because the shame, the blame, it really does lame you, like what you said. It creates a fear of this. And see, your grandmother, she didn't care.
I know.
She's so your is she still with
No.
is she still what did you call her like as a kid? Like what
I,
would you
I
call
called
her?
her grandma. Well, she was Russian, so I called her sometimes Gramochka, but I called her grandma.
Gramishka. That's how they say it. Okay. So this lovely lady, Gramishka, uh, she's not here, like physically
Yeah.
before me, but her message is so powerful. Her wind, her tell is confirmed this message from this lady overseas for me. And I feel empowered from her. And I didn't get any socks and underwear. But I feel her gift was so much more than the gift of socks and underwear. And I thank her. I really do. And so, like you said, instead of carrying their story, you're actually just using the story, reusing the story.
Yeah.
And this is what we're here. We're reusing everything here on Gaia. We're reusing it. Waste, sewage, seeds, oil. The oil goes into the ground when we pass and comes back through in other forms. Nothing leaves here. As far as I understand, nothing, as far as what I understand where I walk on, and from all the dialect I get, nothing on, it only gets more, it doesn't get less. And with these comets and meteors going past in this great time, um, they have deliberately created us to be in chaos and distraction and rushing around and not in this paused moment so that we don't collect the energy or the gifts or the socks and underwear from the meteor in its
Yeah.
true form because we're too distracted with what is out there. But really, it's a time to, it's a stalled sun phase. We shouldn't we shouldn't really be rushing around at the moment. We should be absorbing and sharing space with others rather than forcing space with others. Yet, if you had to describe Christmas to me, it's for space on everyone. You have to do it this way. You have to serve this. You have to have it cooked this way. You have to like it's so many almost rules of Christmas. It's
Yeah.
ideals and whereas if you can just come into each other's space and you know, it's lovely giving gifts to each other and give and receive. Um, seeing their reaction also.
Yeah.
Like pink underwear is not going to be cool, is it? But
Right. Well,
uh,
maybe it's some suggestions. It's like telling people, teaching people to go back to the basics of things as opposed to,
yeah,
to the
complicated.
make it so complicated. I mean, you think about stimulation and what could stimulate a child? Certainly not a pair of underwear and socks or anything to that effect. But then again, you know, it was powerful for me. Like I remember, like Nit didn't want to show. I was ignoring her, and she's "Tuh,
Yeah,
too bad, really." Anyway,
yeah.
it was a powerful moment. I wanted to touch upon the subject of our body and how our bodies are
Mm.
talking and revealing revelations of things that are going on within ourselves that we can't hide, that we can't push aside. Eventually, it comes out, and the
Mm.
amount and the
Yeah,
amount of energy that it takes to suppress. And we look that once we think something lies beneath the surface of our skin, so to speak, then we think it's gone. And I was brought
mm.
to the attention by something I saw on YouTube where when you have a piece of meat and it's put in the freezer and then it starts to melt and it's not used or consumed, then the worms start coming out of the meat themselves or start, filling within the plastic container. And I said,
Yeah.
wow, that means naturally it's in there already, but it doesn't
Mm.
manifest or come out until certain conditions are ripe for that to take place.
Ah, now you're talking because now this is good because this is how I've been working out, weaving our way through things over the last 30 years is I'd say, is it conditional or not conditional? See, we, like your grandmother, uh, she could be, she was unconditional and she knew it too. That's why she laughed. She was showing you her face laughing because she doesn't matter what the younger generations think.
Right.
She's holding ground. She's holding space on what she believes in. Um, and she'll give it to you next year too, if if you're lucky or not lucky, because she's so proud of it. And it doesn't matter what anyone says or says to her, she's going to keep doing that. Condition means they need conditions. And you said that it comes out the freezer, had to wait for a certain condition. Who's running the ship? Who's running your show? Why is it so hard for humans to understand? And I go through this with many that I speak to, that something so small can run your ship. And they have been.
Right.
And these words are powerful that you say, Adam, because they make your grandmother's making me powerful right now. She's like saying it's conditional. They had to come out the freezer because they were already in there.
Right.
Yeah. And it's not to scare people, it's not to make, it's just what's happened over this, you know, 100 years or few hundred years or 1,000 years is that we've been deliberately made to ignore the basics so that the conditions were right for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you take back the balance in your body and you keep them at bay and you say thank you and you use them as a tool, their intelligence, because they are intelligent, very intelligent, and you keep them at bay and you say thank you, I understand, but we're going to keep you at heaven, at an even place in my ship, so that I can run the ship in a purer way rather than in a conditional way.
Yeah.
Wow. So we've gone from underwear, socks, to taking meat out the freezer. Like, can you see? So,
Well, that is part of the holiday.
again, it's simple. It is, right?
Well, it won't be looked at the same way once it comes out any once it gets put into the oven. Um, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
See,
like,
once you put it in the oven, it changes the condition of it again. You know what's amazing is so you can put it in the freezer, then you defrost it, then you cook it and you eat it, and they're still in there. How
I know,
intelligent this species. But they can only function at a certain condition. It's interesting, right?
yeah, but what's good is that it's important for us to see that it's important for us to experience it and to endure it so that we know how to handle the new conditions that arise. Um, so just getting
Yeah.
expanding upon that point. So, for example, we are used to having an experience, let's say a physical experience, and that physical experience brings us to a place of, do we express it or do we suppress it? I'll speak for myself. Skin condition that I and as that skin condition reveals itself to me, it's like coming closer to the surface and giving me information on something about my emotions, about my emotional experience. And because I'm not able to verbalize it emotionally, my physical body is therefore expressing it to me and making me look at it closer. So I look at it closer and I get scared of that expression that the body shows me. So I want to do everything I can to suppress it, to push it down so that, again, I don't have to feel. And then again, I don't have to see. So you can put, you could use medications. You could use whatever you want on something to suppress, or that can exist in the mind as well to suppress information. Um, I guess my
So
point,
you said, so, we sorry, your point, yeah.
yeah, I guess my point is that we're at a time where the physical body is enduring specific energies that are creating shifts in our physical body.
Mm.
And the more we distract ourselves with a label of something, as opposed to looking at what the emotional or the feeling is around something, the more it goes on and it keeps going and it keeps going and then it manifests to something more serious, more powerful. Yeah. I don't,
Sorry,
yeah.
I'm hearing your words and I'm going. So you said sacrifice, yeah, and then you said sacrifice. Sacrifice is sack of soul face. So they enclose again the soul, and then you have, and that's what they put is their front. Scarface is where the wounds come forth, and you have to face them. But you see the magic of it. It's an opportunity. It is actually an opportunity, and a lot of these ascension symptoms coming up in this area here, or the eyes, all around here. It's really in our faces, so that we mirror it, so we can. You wake up and you go, oh, there it is, and so a lot of people have like these sores here, or here corners, and they're very much related to those little ones in the freezer we were talking about. But
Yeah.
to be a scar face, to wear your scars is like wearing your socks and underwear. You're like, I'm okay with this. I don't, my face is unconditional of your response.
Right. Right.
Usually, people that I find that we meet, the ones that are just so happy to be who they are, you really love talking to them. The ones that are telling you what they think they are just doesn't feel fulfilling when I speak to them. I usually start daydreaming or drift off. I,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
try not to be rude, obviously, but I really it doesn't hold me, doesn't hold my space. And usually what someone's telling me that they are is something that they're projecting that they would like to be, or something they've seen in someone else, but it's not showing their scar face. And I think that's what happens when we meet other people. We don't want all that. We want to see your scar face, my scar face. They come together, they surface. And so your scar face is to see the magic of the one facing you. But when I think of the word scar face, I think of not a great energy, but really it is to see the magic of it. And you'll hear a lot of people say, oh, that's when someone has a little mark or something on their face, you go, oh, that makes you you.
Yeah. I was going to say individuality. That's what came to my mind as soon as you said that. Right? The
Yeah. You
individuality,
go, oh.
the
So what
imperfection.
are they making us do now? This is one of the biggest fears that our seventh child would have. We would go to, so we live in the country, they're home births and they're not going to school. They only go to small shopping centers in the country, and then we go to big ones in the city. She would flip out because I'd say, what's wrong? She goes, where are we? Why do they all have the same shape eyebrows? And I say, it's okay. She goes, like, their eyebrows are weird. And I started looking at them, and so did we.
Right.
And everyone had the same shape eyebrow because they have these eyebrow bars everywhere where you
Yeah.
go and sit while you're having a coffee and they shape your eyebrows or tattoo them on. So everyone had um like a like a cloning.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are they
Yes.
making everyone do with, with the facial surgery? They're taking out all your scar face to make you look like a type.
Yes. So interesting.
So when people say, yeah, when people say I'm worried about AI and I'm worried about this, I'm going, but you're you're replicating and you're cloning yourself now willingly.
Yeah. Willingly.
Do you see
Willingly.
what you're doing?
Yes.
You're
Yes.
taking away your
Yes.
identity. So you're taking away the dents of I. I mean, everyone wants to look nice. I understand this,
Yeah.
but that there has to be
Well,
um
those, yeah. I was
do
gonna,
you, right?
yeah, I was gonna,
It
no, I was gonna say those, as you call them, those in, I don't want to use the word in charge, but those who've been controlling things have, I guess, presented pharmaceuticals, presented surgeries, presented ways of making people lose their scar face, lose their individuality in order to be involve themselves in a cloning. So you take all your problems and put it in your physical self, and then they become dissolved. You no longer look like you did, so you no longer feel like you did, and therefore you no longer have the same problems. If I look differently, then I don't feel the same anymore. I don't have the same issues. I can take care of my
but they're
physical,
there, right?
but they're there.
Are
And
they there? Yeah.
that's the stuff that's lurking under the surface that how the body talks. Where does that go? Eventually it finds its way out through the pores of our skin. It finds its way in a clump of mass somewhere in the body. Um, and also the desire to look like everyone else. Why would one want to lose their individuality and not be unique and be their own person as opposed to be like everyone else? Why would you forfeit your power and give it away? And why, when you look at I mean, the media itself, but in Hollywood, and you look at the examples, how everybody sacrifices their own strength to be like everyone else. Very disturbing.
Yeah.
Very
Well,
disturbing. But
it comes back to the socks and underwear
wow,
because
I wish I had those socks
yeah,
and underwear
because
still.
you can help it. So it's funny because you'll go to a doctor's office and they've got certificates up, and you go to Adam's practice and he's got his underwear in a frame on the wall. And you
In a
go,
glass container.
that's very, yeah, that's very sacred.
Yes, yes.
But yeah, it's well, one, it's honoring your grandmother. By honoring a greatness, you're honoring something great in you because it alivens you. The schooling system was designed for schooling to hurdle you in so they can catch you. And you said you don't want to use that word charge. Well, that's great. I'm so glad that you did use the word charge because that made me understand that maybe the ones that have been running the show a bit, it's just a frequency. So you can change it like that. Like you can be watching our interview now and go, well, that's impossible, but maybe they're right. You can change it like that once you know, because then
Yeah,
you have the power of observation. You know that the storm's coming. You know what sails to put up. You know how to move your rudders around. You know maybe we should steer this course and this way because you understand, because you see. You're not harbored. You can see the whole ocean.
that's good. Not
When you're in
harbored.
the harbor, you can't see it all.
Wow. Contained, held back
Mm,
by the
yeah,
dam. The dam. Wow. That's good. That's a
the
good one.
mums. Well, it's you're harbored by the mothers, and this is how they created well, this is the word matrix. Trick the mothers. That's why it's so important when you have ones like your grandmother come through because it's her tell that it will remind us of who we really are. And it's so much greater than sacrifice. It's show your scar face. You're okay. This was the story of the Beauty and the Beast, I think. He was
Right, right.
ashamed of how he looked, but his love was so great, it didn't matter to the princess. It didn't matter. His love was so beautiful that she loved him.
Yeah. It's funny. I'm looking at a buffalo with the horns. It looks just like the beast. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's a journey it's a journey inward to understand that self-love exists within, and going through certain ups and downs of life make you learn to detach from not the physical experience, but more closer to the soul's connection, and recognizing that, okay, so if you lose your hair, or your eyebrows are not perfect, or you get a specific ailment, it's all it all strengthens you and teaches you to endure, to become the greatness that you are, and that capacity to actually see those scars as wounds, not self-induced, but as the natural process of life to help you be strengthened and become your your power. And I don't, sometimes people say, oh, if you can do this over again, would you? Or victimize you with certain circumstances. I think it's I think it's such a great thing to experience difficulty, as long as you use it as a tool for expansion as opposed to being the victim. So many times people are
Yeah.
victims. They're continuous in a story of victimhood, 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 victimhood. This person did me wrong. And it disturbs me the most, because I guess when you grow up in an environment that you can use that excuse, and it perturbs you the most, obviously it disturbs me hearing it from other people. So I never want, yeah. I never want to be the victim of circumstances. Never want to admit that I was victimized by something. But that's like that earthly feeling of like how you can fall into that trap, that narcissist energy, the energy of being gaslit, and then trying to fix your scars as opposed to um accepting them. Can't
Yeah.
you
Like
can't you
honor.
can't It's like burning something. When you burn skin, it loses its tech it loses its character. So we
Yeah.
burning away of the contours of life, burning away of the things that protrude, the protrusions. The Yeah. I used to, you look at things as perfection, and now I look at imperfection as more perfect than something that's perfect. I don't, like in
Yeah.
photography, when you see a grainy substance, a grainy, it gives you a feeling of substance. It gives you a feeling of contour, as opposed to just glossed over and flat. It's just, it's so
Yeah.
interesting to,
So, um, the way I am, I don't know what it is, but I like everything in a certain way in the house. And so there's always the least clutter. And we've had to learn to make things childproof. And so it's practical, it's simple, but it has to be in its place. And the kids are like, oh my God, don't leave all that out because mum, you know what she's like? She's going to come through like a tornado. And so I like everything in its place so that I'm ready. Richard well, is very spontaneous, which would really cause arguments in our relationship because he would just go, okay, we're going here. And I'd be like, oh, but I'm not ready. So what I did to override this, which made me, I feel a better person, is I would have everything in its place, ready to be ready. So that if he said to me with 8 children, we're going here, I could be spontaneous with him, which is completely out of character for me. So
right,
if he
right,
woke up and said, we're going fishing today because the weather's good, I'd be like, okay, I'm ready. Because I had everything in place. Of course, this does not work all the time because you get tired or, other, you have solar flares or full moons or whatever. But uh, as is my best I could be, I would also have everything ready to be ready in its place so that I could shoot off with him really quickly. Um, I didn't have an excuse anymore because I was ready to be ready. I could go. Excuse. So you X the use of it. And I was like, wow, I've never looked at that word like that before, but that's what you're not using the fullest. So every time you're excusing yourself, you're not using the fullest of it. And So the more and more we understand all this, and the more and more we share and tell this, the more and more people become fuller of themselves, not in an egoic way, but they understand the fullness of themselves. They understand all the gifts, all the icky moments, all the scars, and they go, oh, I'll just use it as a tool. So then start to become like a lion, courage, like your grandmother. They're proud and they have loyalty to themselves. So they
Right.
walk a different walk, a path of strength, a path of bravery, a path of tell, a path of sharing, and it's unconditional. And your grandmother's like, well, I'm heading this path. It doesn't matter what you say when you open that present. I'm still on this path, and I'm enjoying your reaction, but I'm heading this way, and I know we'll meet up again. Meaning she allowed your spin and you allowed her spin, and you meet up again. And here we are talking about her meeting up again.
Yeah.
And now
I
you're
thought
sharing her with me and the audience.
I thought about
It's pretty nice.
the word spillover. Spill over came in. To
Of
spill
the
over.
dams.
Yeah, but
So
also
that's the riddle. That's you just said the riddle. That's the riddle. So what was it?
spillover.
A soul way. A soul way is one's home path leads past the seal, the spillover of the dam. So it's letting go of that program of the matrix.
Right. But in insofar as it's okay for us to reach our limit. It's okay for us to feel our limit and not bury it
Yeah.
lower than the topping point. It's okay to let it rise to the very top. In the fear of not allowing it to rise to the top, we become over perfectionist. So in allowing it to reach the top, then therefore we say this is my issue and I have to control it and contain it just like a dam does, so as not to let it spill over. But it doesn't mean that the water can't make it to the very, very top of the dam. It could go to the very top as long as
Mm.
it doesn't make it over the dam. And I think
Yeah. So it's you're rising above.
holding space, and holding space and being um, loving ourselves for our limit. It's not a maybe it's not a limitation, but it's no, it's not a limitation, but it's a um, if you have a jar of a bottle of liquid, the water is always filled to the top when you buy it. It's not filled halfway. Being filled to the top is what you expect it to be. So why can't we expect things to be filled to the top with our emotions or go to the level without it overspilling and then learning how to contain it? So when you said that you're able to then process and put everything in its place without and being ready, yeah, that's what came to mind. Anyhow,
Well, the only time you deplete that jar or fill that jar in a different volume is the dying process and the growth process. So as you kind of melt into earth, but as a baby you grow from earth. That's the only time that changes
oh, that's, yeah,
that bottle
fluctuation.
of water. Yeah.
Yeah,
And so um but again we don't actually um it goes back to be reused.
evaporation.
When I hear about the whole and looking after the planet, which doesn't need to be looked after in that way, um, I won't say the word because it's annoying, but it starts with you just hear it over and over again, and they're thinking that's the cause of what's happening with the weather and all that, but it's not. It's the whole Earth reuses everything all the time. It doesn't. There's no lack of water. There's a condition that's made there a lack of water, but there is no lack of water. There's only more water. More water is coming. Or more water coming. There's more stardust coming all the time. It's not less, it's more, which means if Gaia is having that as below as above, the environment reflects us and we reflect the environment, we become more as well. Always. So
Right.
the word lack is leak, which is sorry, kids are up. Uh, the word lack is leak, which is lactating, which is
Release.
the Milky Way.
Yeah. Oh, Milky. Wow. Wow.
It's eternal flow. Yeah, that's the origins of the word. It's the Milky Way. It's eternal flow. And so I always used to think of just a spring or eternal flow of the bosom, feeding the baby, but it's literally the Milky Way, moo, raining down on us every year. And depending on how we vibrate is how close they come and how much they rain on us. Right now, they think they really like us. They like how we're lifting our vibration. So they're coming in real close. I mean, I think it was 2 days ago, I had a friend say to me, "Did you hear the one with the big boom, the big boom,
I was gonna.
big light?" That was, that
Yeah,
came close, that one.
I was gonna touch upon it here in New Jersey. I don't know if you're familiar with the news in this area itself, exactly in the area I'm at. Every night there are 3 to 4 to 5 different craft in the air. Um, and they called it from Iran a mothership. There was a mothership parked off the coast, East Coast, and from that
Yeah,
mothership there are Iranian drones being sent down, and
yeah,
it
funny.
insults the intelligence and not the intelligence, but insults the ability to. I heard you mention on another interview the quackery, and that was a great word.
Yeah, yeah. Quack, oh
The
God,
the, the
quackers.
quakerness of something. So I
Yeah.
I I go
Well, it's
outside and
to rattle, right? Yeah.
yeah, and I went outside and there was nothing, but it's in the news and everybody's filming it, and people said drones the size of cars, um, um, and I put a
Yeah.
post. I said not drones. Some people put the big smiley, big
Not drones.
smiley faces as if they were laughing from their belly at my comment, and I wound up
Yeah,
feeling like
they know.
that's the biggest insult to me. I get so aggravated when I see somebody question that. I don't know, for some reason that
Yeah.
disturbs me the most. Um,
Yeah. Well, it is, well, it's the data being, they need the serious data information to, but even if you had all the data, they'd still question it. So it doesn't matter. You just go, it is what it is. Um, and this is why I think we've had so many encounters. I'm like your grandmother with the socks and underwear. I go, well, doesn't worry me whether anyone believes it or sees it because
yeah,
I have 10 people witnessing it as well. It's not just my pupils seeing it, it's also the pets. The pets are looking up at it. I never see horses look up. But when you see a horse look up at her, horses don't need to look up.
yeah, yeah. I
Sheep don't need to look up. They don't. They just don't look up. I mean, not here in Australia because so some parts of Australia might have eagles, but it takes sheep, but generally they don't need to look up. So for an animal to look up, it's odd. And so we've had this happen so many times, and people say, "Where's your proof? Where's your data?" And I said, "If this conversation is about proof and data, then this conversation really is not for you." That's my only way
that's
to
true.
talk to that type of energy because this is a share and tell situation. It's not
A judgment.
I yeah, well, I'm not NASA either. I don't have the equipment of NASA. So even if I did have data, it's still not going to be as good as so-called, the military. So it'll
Yeah.
be debunked either way, So look, we share and tell as you are, and then you evolve from that.
Yes.
Yeah. And these is so when you were around the campfires and they would be telling these great stories of these great warriors so that the children would hear these stories so that they would understand the seasons and what to do the next day or what happens at winter time or where they relocate their tribe to. You didn't get someone in the tribe saying, "Oh, how are you going to prove that?
Right.
Where's your certificate?" They wouldn't do that because they all had each other's back, sort of thing. They all would trust the story, trust where, trust that the other person was there to share goodness with them. It wasn't about controlling, it was just about sharing a story of the way it was, again, a gift, so that they could use it in the new way. When you hear someone say to you, "Where's the proof of what you saw?" That sounds really conditional.
Yeah.
So there I go.
I've never,
I go,
I've never,
okay,
I've never bought into the idea of having to really prove anything. I don't,
yeah,
from my perspective, I don't have that scientific mind. I go more on my perception of things. And so that knowing, internal knowing guides me
mm,
and it makes me resonate with people like yourself and others who have that understanding without explanation. Once you get into the
oh,
explanation,
such a
you've already committed yourself.
understanding with, yeah,
You've jumped off the diving board into an empty pool, and that doesn't sound good. But I think it's best to stay before, not commit yourself to explanation. It's not. I don't think it's
yeah.
worth it. But then you get into a place of how do you know and what makes you know, and just knowing.
So then you go,
Yeah, I had lunch with
oh,
my son yesterday. So as we sat at lunch, I started explaining things to him. I'm interested in sharing this with him so that he's inspired by it and he somehow understands it. I guess from my perspective, instead of me holding, well, I do hold space, but I give him some of my insight and my understanding of things. And then you could see it like slowly, like,
socks and underwear.
yeah, socks and underwear. Like I had enough. I had
Yeah,
enough of
but
this now. Like,
he goes,
what
"Well,
makes you
that's
think
way
so?
too
What makes you
many."
think so? I don't know.
Yeah.
I just want. I guess when you want the people closest to you to understand you the most.
Oh, this is a big one because this have. I'm so glad you brought this up because this this was really hard for me in the first decades with the kids is because it was mum was literally crazy.
Right.
But then they started having occurrences and noticing things, and then they started noticing things in the media, and they're going, "How can this be?" And I'd say it's magical or a miracle or a molecule. And they're like, "Yeah, but how did history just change?" And I'm like, "Well, maybe it's a gift to show you so that you can work together on this rather than ridicule."
That's
And so
great.
they started, yeah, so the kids started to, well, it's weird, the word ridicule and miracle, very similar. And it does, miracle does really make your cells feel uplifted and loved and vibrant. If your cells are vibrant and uplifted, they're not going to be so great to the conditional ones because they need a certain condition
Right. Right.
and they can't stick on very good. They need the cells to be less vibrating to stick on. So they have to move on and go their own way or leave.
I I always I don't like adversaries, but I do like a resistance towards my ideas. And I think it's important for us to have the resistance in order for us to continue on in our own belief without any sense of children questioning. I guess it's teaching us to honor ourselves despite being a parent and holding our
The
space.
Scarface, yeah.
Yeah, holding our place and then eventually like it turns because every experience that I've had where I faced resistance and people shamed and mocked certain things that I would do, um, if I did Tai Chi or I did breathing exercises at school, people would walk by and laugh while I was in the gym, doing it. I wasn't a victim of it. I just express it as I laughed at myself, saying, one day they're going to ask me
So,
about it.
yeah,
What do I do? And the same thing applies to our children. I think the process of being the example and never wavering in a belief of what you believe in, and eventually the tide turns in favor of some saying, "Wow, I admire you for holding on to your belief system," and that's one of the things I think we offer our loved ones or the people we care about is being resilient in us, in our belief in the things that are not proven, but the things that are unproven by the external world, but we hold within ourselves. And that's like, I guess, getting back, it could be the holidays, it could be a tale, a story that resonates, that Santa Claus isn't real, but he could be real, I guess, to a person's energy, to their who they are,
yeah,
So I don't know.
yeah.
I,
It's
I feel very
one of
passionate
my
about that
favorite
subject.
songs. Yeah, well, this is takes a man to suffer ignorance and walk. Be yourself no matter what they say.
Sting, love that
Oh my
song.
gosh. Wow.
Absolutely. That was
You know
my
what he's singing about, right?
absolutely, absolutely. That's
Because
that's
this is what Richard has. He was a legal alien. That's because he's Irish and Ger what is he? Irish German. So yeah, he's a legal alien. So he's got a legal alien card.
wow, wow, wow. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's not only related towards, well, obviously it's not only related towards origin of identity, which is not what you're saying, but it's you can you I never felt it through that end of it. I felt it through being around people who didn't understand me and suffering the ignorance around me and
Yeah.
and continuing in spite. And that's the greatest power we have within ourselves because we're looking for affirmation in some way.
Yeah.
Everyone's
Well,
looking for
it's like the
affirmation.
spy. Yeah.
But how do you,
Like you said, sorry, this one time
yeah, how do you,
you go.
how do you tell somebody like, as a human being, we're all looking for affirmation. We're looking for a like. And it's visible amongst the social media. You want to be validated, but I guess there's a balance of validation as a as in the mixture of self validation of like once we lose ourselves in the social, like people who become famous, and you're tied into that that label of being famous. And then once that we shed that, or you shed that, then what are we left with? Like, you have to redefine oneself.
No, fame. Okay, so
I mean, you've been in a
being
position.
in the being in the fashion industry, right?
Right, right.
Um, meeting the president before he was a president, meeting Thor before he was Thor, meeting the good witch before she was the good witch. We saw the identities before they were the celebrities.
Wow, wow, that's right.
They were created by the groomers. Many of them did have skill if they were a band or something or a singer, but they definitely have groomers around them, stylists. Many hours of uh, creators creating different parts on them, how to dress, how to walk, how to talk, how to be. When you see these people when they rock up at 2 a.m. in the morning ready for the show, they don't present this way. They don't even sometimes speak this way. Their personality is different. They're on show. When you actually see how internet and the monetary system is worked and religion, it's all a show.
Yeah.
It's a setup. The way the royals present, how they walk, how they hold their hand, at what spot. It is so set up. It is, when you realize how so set up it is, it's ridiculous. But it's a show for the public to see so that they can believe the numbers. The numbers aren't there. There are no numbers. Those numbers are full of trickery.
Yeah. Yeah.
And anyone who has huge Instagram followings, and I can, a lot of great people are coming out and saying the ones that have the big numbers, it's the ones on the outskirts. It's the ones on the outskirts. And the ones that have the big numbers, they have big numbers for certain reasons. It doesn't take much to change a number on the internet.
Right. Right. I
And
yeah.
so I hear people who work so hard and they say, I just can't get my Instagram account up, or I can't get my TikTok account up on this account. And I say to them, just watch it. It can be quite entertaining. And they say, well, or what? Does that mean you're obsessed with it? I go, no, no, it will show you what is before you. And
Right.
I did this before there was even internet. I did this with money because it's an energy. So if you want the public to believe this person, who do you give the numbers to? You're not gonna, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
you're not going to give it
Who
to
do you give
this
the
person over
contract?
here. You're going to give it to, well, they just up the numbers. It doesn't
Yeah.
do any, it's easy. It's so easy, but people think that they've earned it. And you go, I don't know. Not with how. So you mean they're honest? So you mean that they've sprinkled us with lies all the way to this point, but they keep the numbers honest on the internet? Really?
Yeah.
Are
Yeah.
you, come on, we've been through all the lockdown, but you think they're honest about the numbers or the wealth? They kept the wealth in the bloodlines for a reason. And this time, as the Indian cultures believe, they said that the powers would come in the bloodlines. And once this phase ends, they'll um, they'll see unjust that were done. The Hopis talked about when they would be unjust to children. When this
Yeah.
time came, the blue ones would come. There'll be great chaos. There'll be floods. There'll be quakers, quaking. But then there'll
Whacking.
be a great shift, and this is when yeah, quakers, and then it comes now into creativity, and this is where you'll find the truths and the rings, and this is what people are tapping into. It's what the whales are tapping into, and the asteroids and comets coming really close. When you see, if you see one coming close, or you feel the energy of a weird day, pat yourself on the back because they're coming in closer because of how you're vibrating, how I'm vibrating, how others are vibrating now. They're coming in closer to upgrade us now, to take us beyond this behavior, the conditions. It's a good thing.
Yeah. That's
It
yeah.
just it feels alien.
It does definitely feels alien. I feel like I guess I feel out of body. I feel out of body
Mm.
over the
Oh.
last, yeah, definitely feel out of
So
body.
what? Oh, that's so good that you said that because it is from out of body coming in. It's ready for this one. I love this one. It's because I only just worked this one out. It's away in a manger. Away in a manger. So it's away in a manger. No crib for his head. Comes back to how they built us. It's very deep. So all the Christmas carols, they knew of this time annually. It was a possibility that a lot of comets could come past, and depending on your vibration and how you're running your ship, they'll come closer or not.
An
So if
upgrade.
the world's in Yeah, an upgrade.
Upgrade.
From now till I think middle of Feb, there's some big ones coming.
Yeah, I'm definitely feel it. Definitely feel it, especially at night. I guess when I'm lying down, I feel that shift. I feel
Yeah.
I could feel it. It's funny. I was talking to my neighbor. He said a few years ago, do you know over your house was a being standing on the roof? And I said, explain. He said, well, he said, I was talking to the other neighbor and I looked over his shoulder and there was something on your roof that set off all the security lights on the sensors, the light sensors that were above. He said it just ran very fast. And I said, he goes, where will I go? He goes, right above. And I said, is that right? I said, it's interesting. That was like a period in time when I was having those dreams of a ship coming, um, and
Do you
communicating.
have your neighbors around you commenting?
Well,
Wow.
they all tell me, well, if they come, I'm getting on board. I said, all right, we'll join. They all want to go. They all want to leave or wherever they want to go. But
Isn't
yeah,
it great that your neighbors can can confide in you and be Scarface with you about this topic rather than you ridicule them?
absolutely.
And this is so, this is, do you see the release that you give for that? Because they're not suppressing anymore. They can just openly go, you know why? Because Adam rings true. Adam will understand. Adam shows his Scarface, so I'll be able to share my Scarface.
Right. That's
And
true.
there's this farmer just here in this area that we believe is very, it is sacred grounds. They found some of the oldest artifacts in the world there. Anyway, he, I said to him, thank you for sharing your alien pictures with us like that, because he's just got a little picture this big of an alien. And I knew that he had had encounters because of where he lives, but I didn't know anything. I just knew by him holding this little alien picture on his like little farm stall. Anyway, I said to him, "Thanks for your little alien picture. It makes me smile each time I come here." And he goes, "Do you see them too?" And I went, "I see them all the time." Well, let me tell you, he unfolded 80 years of encounters.
Wow.
Not only his encounters, but his family's encounters. He's seen a neighbor somehow lift up out of the house, and then the husband came out running, freaking out, panicking because his wife's gone. And he consoled them and said, don't worry, they feel okay. I feel like she's going to be back anytime soon. And they had like a time lapse sort of thing, and then she was back. But because he had had 80 years of it from a little boy and his
Yeah.
parents seeing it as well, he could share, like you, the Scarface of it. He's a farmer. He said, it's very rare I get to talk to anyone about this.
It's great. It's so great. That happened all the time.
Yeah,
Every person that I've met, I've asked them a question, and basically it would bring up the subject. I never told anybody something, but I'm going to tell you. This happened three times. So there was a gentleman in his 80s who was from
yeah.
Brooklyn, who saw the Hindenburg float by when it crashed in New
Um,
Jersey or was exploded. Um, and he said that day when he was in the country, he said a ship landed in front of him in the 30s, in the 40s with blinking lights. And another person, the same thing. So I said, as you said, you don't sacrifice much, but you sacrifice a part of your earthly connection to, um, it's almost as if you float out of yourself to be a bridge towards accepting or hearing the stories of others. So as the ridicule or whatever. You can't be frightened of ridicule or being ashamed of any of that understanding or that expression. It's an important part of the Scarface. It's an important part
yeah.
of that. Yeah, yeah. Well, anyway, that's
Wow.
interesting
Such a
stuff.
great conversation. I just love how it
Yeah.
started.
Yeah.
I honestly, when I meet with you, Adam, I never know where it's going to go, but I always know what's going to be profound, and I'll feel uplifted. So thank you.
I feel also the same way. The information is the ability to just speak my mind, or speak my piece is important.
Mm,
And I know that I can share that, and I know that many things resonate, and how the words themselves expand into different avenues or channels as it starts off on one road and then it finds its way into the open seas, sailing onward, so to speak. Okay.
yeah, they they grow.
They
Thank you.
grow. They grow. They channel. They manifest and nest. Okay.
Mm,
So I want to thank you, Elsa, for joining me. And yeah, we'll we'll continue on the path of sharing and understanding. So
mm.
have a
Thank
great
you.
day.